So today I'm going to be talking about Mercy in the Overwatch League, and honestly, we haven't seen way too much first-person Mercy in the league. There's been almost every single game with a Mercy, or at least every single set of team versus team with a Mercy. Offense, defense, she's always really good in the meta right now. But as far as her actual gameplay, you don't see that way too much, so you are going to have to watch from the third person, from other people's point of views and cameras, and I'm going to be trying to talk the best I can about what the Mercy players are doing. I'm going to be talking about both teams, because they are very important, but it's kind of hard to find a star Mercy player or a star Mercy round where you're always focusing on them. Sometimes the Mercy players do get really nice double reses, but most of the time it's the stuff that's kind of harder to tell, like knowing who to effectively heal at what time, knowing when to save your ultimate and when to not, and knowing when to go for the damage boost compared to when to heal, and knowing how to position yourself so that you won't die. So I'm going to be trying to talk about all of that, but please do aware that, it's not going to always be showing the Mercy, and probably from first person, you're not going to see much of Mercy at all. Sorry about that. That's just kind of how the Overwatch League works in that way. Anyways, we're going to get straight onto this right now. Of course, the Seoul Dynasty having Toby playing Mercy on the defense, and the Shanghai Dragons having Altering playing Mercy on the offense. And you can see the team comps are, somewhat different. There's going to be hit scan on both sides with the Tracer, I guess, kind of flanking hit scan. There's going to be on defense, Seoul Dynasty having the Soldier 76, which Mercy can damage boost pretty well. There are diving tanks on both sides, which Mercy can play way far behind and just kind of heal them up and res them if they happen to just get picked off from the Mercy's back line, but she can do that pretty effectively. And overall, it's going to be pretty good for both these characters. Right now, the Mercy's just healing up this diva. You do kind of want to keep your tanks topped off if you possibly can, but I think it's a better idea for the most part to kind of focus more on healing your squishies right there. We see this Mercy kind of healing the diva up, but the one on the enemy team going mainly for the Genji, because if she can keep the Genji up, that's going to be nice for her. Right there, a really nice Guardian Angel, waited for the teammate to get far away, then Mercy Guardian Angels to the Mercy from far away. This Mercy damage boosting this guy and healing this guy, kind of just going on to everybody on their team. Of course, you want to make sure that you're topping off everybody that you possibly can. And one thing I want to talk about, I guess, is that a lot of the times these Mercies will just play as far in the back line as humanly possible and just try to not get picked and make sure that their Guardian Angel always has a somewhat decent target. Sometimes you might even want to open yourself up a little bit into the limelight, just into the open, so that you could fly away to one of your teammates, because if you stay too far back, you can in some cases get dived on. We're going to be seeing this right here. Of course, the Mercy's kind of stuck here in the corner. The Winston and the Diva are going to jump on her. The enemy Winston from the Shanghai are going to just shoot, not the Winston, the Diva's going to shoot her ultimate up in here. Mercy's going to get taken down, of course, by Roshan, and it's going to be, pretty hard for the Seoul Dynasty, as they are just down the Mercy right now. Fortunately, though, Soldier just takes out the enemy Mercy, and now it's going to be essentially tied. The thing you want to think about Mercy is like, if you're the Mercy that's alive at the end of the fight, you can res somebody and essentially just win by default with that. However, if the enemy Mercy is the one living, a lot of the times it's going to be hard for your team to be able to win that out. So it's kind of hard to decide what exactly to do. And right here, Seoul Dynasty is actually just trying to take a little bit of damage, pushing up, stall for time, of course, but as well, getting Toby his ultimate. So now, the defending Mercy does have her ultimate a little bit before the Shanghai Dragons. Right now would be a perfect time to engage. I'm assuming that they probably assume the Shanghai Dragons do have the Mercy ult by now, but not quite. Eventually, they do finally get that. But that's one thing you can actually ask your teammates to kind of do. Ask your tanks to maybe go up a little bit, because if you get your ultimate as Mercy faster than the enemy team, even though some of the enemy DPS might have their ultimates faster than your team's DPS, Mercy ult is just so strong. And I know this is going to be nerfed quite a bit in the next patch, but as far as it is right now, just do kind of try to remember that. I think Mercy ulted right there. Of course, Toby's just flying in the sky. Sometimes you can ult before your team starts team fighting, and that can be nice, because especially if you want to get a super nice just DPS ult off, like a Genji ult, you can ult as Mercy and heal him through the entire DPS ult, or through the entire blade, and then damage boost him as well if he needs that. But most of the time it'll just make so that he doesn't die. And even if you have someone like Farah that's going to try to ult, you're going to be able to res the Farah after she dies, because honestly, a lot of the times the Farah is going to have to go 1-for-1, but you're going to res that, and then you're going to still have one res left, being able to heal your whole team at the same time. Sometimes it's a good idea to ult a little bit before the fight even starts, mainly just when the fight is barely starting, though. And I feel like the person that ults the first, a lot of the times, will have a higher chance to offensively win, but the person that ults the second, of course, as far as Mercies go, will have a lot just longer to be able to push out the fight. So if they're playing a slow fight and one of the Mercies ult second, you're probably going to win. So if you do ult first, make sure to really go ham and try to get as much damage as you can. Right there, that Mercy went up a little bit too far, just gets picked off, unfortunately. This Diva just standing in the middle of the field, doing whatever they can. Ult right there gets just not really way too much stuff exciting going on right now, honestly. DPS going in there, Winston going in there, trying to pick off whoever he can. Soul Dynasty just playing pretty smart. A thing I guess I want to say about playing Mercy as well, though, is that if you are playing on defense, make sure that none of your teammates push out that far, because if you can't res them, that's essentially just a lost first point in a lot of cases. If the enemy team has a Mercy, or if they have, you know, especially for a Mercy with an ultimate, there's not much you can do if you don't have that Mercy with an ultimate. So yeah, don't push out way too far, and ask your teammates to not push out way too far, because if you have to as Mercy, you might throw the game by dying while trying to res somebody else. That's not what you want to do. Eventually, they just finish it up right here. The Shanghai Dragons just barely ulting, hoping to get everybody back to life, but they're just kind of a finished team fight, and that's kind of, in general, I guess, how you're going to have to play Mercy during this season. Play in the back line, play safe, try to charge up your ultimate, and know whether you should use it early or late, depending on how you want to play the team fight, and as well depending on how you want to work with your certain types of teammates. I feel like using a soldier, it can actually be kind of nice to save up a little a second, because you can wait for the enemy Mercy to maybe overextend a little bit, and then as you playing Mercy, you can damage boost your soldier, and that can work, you know, decently well, and you are still going to have the reses a little bit later, so even if your soldier dies, that can still kind of work for you as well. Overall, we've been seeing a truckload of Mercy in the Overwatch League, but it's kind of hard to see exactly what they are doing, and I feel like as Mercy as a character, it's kind of hard to know exactly what to do and improve on, but mainly just think about your positioning, and I guess some of these other tips that I'm going to give you guys right now. And these are going to be general tips about Overwatch competitive that you can bring into the competitive games that also do apply in a lot of ways to, of course, these Overwatch League games. Anyways, let's just, I guess, get started right here about some of these tips. The first one is, of course, to stay far back, but to know when to go in. You shouldn't always stay so far back that you can't get healing, but you should try to stay far enough back that you aren't going to get immediately sniped. Especially I feel like if you are just playing the neutral, the enemies are trying to get snipes on you, you're trying to get snipes on the enemies, you should probably play on back, play around a corner, and try to stay alive as long as you can, try to get your ult charged, and if one of your teammates gets picked, hopefully you can play around a corner and res one of your teammates. However, remember, if your team's gonna go in with your team. Try to Guardian Angel towards them, but make sure to stop your Guardian Angel before you get to your teammates, so that you're still going to be kind of close, but you're going to be far enough back that you can stay alive and heal them. And if you can, again, try to play near a corner so you can kind of hide around that if you need to. And as well, do just get kind of ready to fly away to somebody on high ground and ask someone on your team to please play on high ground, as that's generally the best way to get away in that situation if you do want to go in, which you often actually probably should, because that's what we're seeing in a lot of these gameplays, because flying around in the middle of a fight makes you a lot harder to kill than just standing around healing somebody in the back line for the entirety of a fight. Now, I guess the thing kind of relating to that is that if you are really close up and, you know, there's a lot of flankers on the enemy team and they're really hurting you, I'd say just get pretty close to your tanks. Make sure to not get in front of them and make sure to not get right next to them so that you can get randomly one-shot. But play kind of close to them. Play close enough where they can shield you, they can block you, and they can just go in and get out a lot of damage if needs be to protect you. Don't play so far back again that you're easy pickings, because sometimes you can kind of get baited into doing that because you're like, hey, I'm all the way back here, there's no way I'm gonna die. But playing next to teammates a lot of the times is a lot safer than always playing super freaking far back, which I see a lot of people doing. Mercy isn't exactly like she used to be. You don't always want to just hide in a corner until your whole team gets wiped. You want to consistently be getting out that DPS with the damage boost and that healing with, of course, your healing. For another tip about Mercy, make sure to be using the jump at the end of your Guardian Angel to get rid of flankers and to get away from flankers. If you didn't know, you can Guardian Angel towards someone, and right about before it ends, if you press the jump button, you'll go flying an extra like 10 to 15 yards forwards, or sometimes, depending on if the person's above you, if they are a little bit, you can Guardian Angel towards a teammate, almost get to them, press jump, and you'll fly really high upwards. It's kind of hard to explain, but if you get in the practice tool and play around with it a little bit, that's important to staying alive versus flankers. It makes it so that they have to look up vertically, and a lot of times I could change a 1 clip from a tracer into a 2 or 3 clip. It gives you a few extra seconds of time, and I'd honestly recommend, if you have huge troubles playing against flankers, try to learn the jump at the end of your Guardian Angel and try to stay alive as far as you can with that. Something else that you should kind of, I guess, remember about staying alive is to make sure to keep your other supports alive. Because if the other supports are alive, they can heal you up. They can make it almost impossible for people to one-clip you. Just don't forget to heal them, because I know the other supports do have self-healing, but Mercy's is probably the easiest to get in the game, and a lot of other characters have to wait a long time, so make sure to keep them alive so that they can keep you alive. 2 supports healing each other can survive almost forever. Yeah, that's pretty funny. For her ultimate, I feel like this is probably the most important thing about getting good at Mercy. figure out when to use it and when to save it for the next fight. If you're already down 3 members, never ult, I'm gonna say. In some situations you might want to, but unless you know those exact situations, you don't want to ult. You want to wait for your teammates to get back there so that you can be in a 6v6, you can go in, and then you can ult, and you essentially are in an 8v6 right then, and that's exactly what you want. That'll win you a game. Don't ult as well if you're already down 1 pick in a lot of cases, unless you're in a really good position, because that's just changing it from an 8v6 to a 7v6, and you don't want to try to waste any of your ult as possible. And speaking of wasting your ult, don't ult a lot of the times unless you know that your teammates have ults coming up soon, because you want to be able to damage boost with those. You want to be able to keep people alive during their ultimates, and sometimes I guess it can be okay to just ult by yourself, but a lot of the times it's better to save it and to just not waste that ultimate, because yeah, using it for one person that gets picked off, yeah, that's probably not going to be the best idea. For some final things, I'm going to remind you guys, remember to damage boost your Winsons and Divas when they're diving in, or just damage boost your spammers all the time. Even damage boosting an Ana or Zenyatta, that can be good, but especially damage boosting somebody like a Pharah or a Junkrat is important, and just don't forget to do that, because that can apply sometimes one-shots against the enemy tracers, the tracers that are going to be trying to kill you. You could be protecting yourself. It's all kind of nice like that. And I guess one final thing I want to say is that if you're playing Mercy, don't just pocket one person. If you need to pocket a Pharah, for example, pocket the Pharah when she's about to go in, or when she's really close to the enemy, but when she's just poking at far range, don't pocket her, heal the rest of your team, damage boost the rest of your team, and then go back to Pharah, and ask you to come back to her in voice chat, and just don't waste time always healing somebody that's always full health, or always damage boosting somebody whose projectile has a very low chance of hitting enemies at such a far range. Anyways, that's all I'm going to say about this. I feel like overall Mercy is still the best support in the game by far right now, and I'll try to talk to you guys about her again when the nerfs do come through. We're going to have to see how those work, though. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a wonderful day.